I can see your hat. Straight up to the mayor at the front. There you go. Yeah.
What's up, Eric? You tell me.
Those are for us. I didn't drop them off today because of the rain. I didn't know what to do with them loading them. I grabbed them.
It goes by too fast.
If it's in town, my starting rate is 40%.
Oh, Sam, okay. All right, cool. Could be a little nicer though.
I'll do like 30 to 40 a session. I get discounts for that. Usually for 2 dogs I do.
One of the reasons I'm here. So as a chief, you're gonna write yourself up on the policy violation for having an APAC? Just kind of curious. Policy violation of insurance, right?
There's a big stack over there.
I put a stack there, you see.
So where do I turn this in?
Yeah, you can just message me. I always get discounts.
Yeah.
I signed up to say words.
We got that 45 deal done. Won't be in the rain. I know that's right. I don't really expect it to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not outside, so next year, I don't know, just think about it.
They're over at
You were trouble. I crash, I ran something like that. Okay, I have to fill these out, okay?
Would y'all like one of these? That's fairly Cross that out. And then put public comments. Right here, just put that you want animal control only or shelter store or whatever.
Do I do this date here?
Yeah, 11/20.
All right. Okay, thank you. And then what do I do with this?
I'm not in charge.
Oh,
But if
I'm
you
sorry.
take it right up to the front and give it to anybody.
Okay, thanks.
No, they're open. Or I haven't even seen anybody sit.
You know him.
I'm at the city council meeting.
I wanted to show you all the
Well, see how I'm dressed. And until just now, I was wearing shorts. So. Sorry. Hello. I was going to ask that same question. Have our 3D glasses on or something? See 3 glasses? I got lots of eyes, so I get ready to have surgery on me. Monday and Tuesday. Well, I'm 92% blind in my left and 78 in my right, so they're not really giving me much choice. I never got away from the challenge.
How are you?
You just hanging out, or you got something to celebrate? You don't even live in the school district or wherever.
Here. Vicki Wilson. Here. Cheryl Bell West. Here. Jason Ince.
Here.
Spell like the copy that's over before.
Bless us in this meeting and keep us. Lord, may your face shine on us and gracious to us. I pray that we feel your presence during this meeting because you are with us wherever we go. I pray that this meeting focuses upon you and your plans for us as a body of believers. Let our actions in this meeting be valuable to our aim, which is to build and edify one another. Amen. We are going to move into an executive session under Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and Texas Government Code 551.074, and we'll go in at 6:01.
Yeah.
Light and packable.
It is very well. Yeah, I said, keep dry.
Yeah, all right. How are you?
He grew up in Abilene, on the east of water.
No. Well.
I think they did. I'm not in charge or anything. My wife. Yeah. They stopped taking them at 6:30 and they went into executive session at 6:30 and a half. You could try. I mean, in some places they will let people do that. For places they don't. It probably depends on who you are.
Who do I hand it to?
I don't know because everybody hands them in at the front and they're gone already. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't think they'll trust anybody in the room who's sort of official. Take it up to the front and leave it on the table. Maybe they'd say, hey, where'd this come from? I don't know, maybe it's been here the whole time. Anyway, we're on
Is there any reason why they went executive session first? That makes no sense. No, I know, I understand that, but I've never seen anybody go in session first.
Am I too late?
No, because they're an executive, you should be good.
I need. Aaliyah, you're gonna fill out one thing. I need a pen.
Public comments, right?
Can I do this in marker or do I need a pen? Hurry up, Aaliyah. We don't have time to read.
She accepted all that, so I wasn't going to tell her to hand it up to the highest. By the way, there were pens over there, pencils and that kind of stuff. You're good. I've already got the policy violation to say now. He doesn't even pay attention. He doesn't pay attention.
Put my email address. Regarding agenda items. Regarding agenda.
Go to the next one. Just wait till he comes back. The arrival of the two. Oh, I thought she was. They were telling me to handle hers. I asked who they handed to. They said go grab the hand camera. I said okay. No, she was on the end. That's what I was told myself. I thought she was the handler of the And then when I went up to Amy, she told me how to take it. She told me that. I said, I handled it. So you had to stand in the jazz. Put it up on the table.
Thank you so much.
That's what I was recommending. Yeah, it's not like there's a because see the way you just do it everywhere else I go, it's public comment. So right before the meeting starts, you get your public comments in, and then you go down to listen at the end or in the middle, executive session. Is this tonight? Or is he just back It's on this. They got to stick to this. They can't. That violates the Texas Open Meeting. They should have updated that. I saw her call to executive session at 6:01 and walk out. We only got 4 minutes. I got 4 topics. This is packed. You're lucky to get like 10 I said something. Being honest, the mayor's not off, but I didn't say I'll let it go. Let them have it.
Or something like that. You think, what's going on there? I guess it's Ellis.
Part of it is, the next county, maybe Johnson Ellis. I'm not sure where they're structured, but.
Yeah, I saw on the internet that the deadline for applying for this job has changed.
So they just had me remove the date. They weren't ready to start the application, I guess. It's not just removing the date. So actually had some of them draw their applications, I guess they found something else. Because it does take a long time, especially, over a month is a very long time.
Well, I mean, yeah, I thought it was a good idea to go ahead and get it out there. We'll send it out to some people in the area. If you were an administrator and big leagues here.
Or even maybe in Whitney County. Some people drove from here to there. And some people drove from here to Cleveland and Johnson County.
Drive all the way from Mount Carmel come here tonight.
I should have interrupted you as soon as you said we were, because this is public meeting. Things take, so anything we say.
But I thought that was good to say hello.
Well, I came by and I did say hi to your staff and take a chat. Looking forward to getting the process started because there are training programs available before the end of the year, and there's a big primary. Even if we just got, I guess, one big office in ballot, their statewide offices, some of those may be sort of close, or anything else. That'll be when the filing period for the offices ends. So I guess I thought that they would try to hire someone who would be available during that filing period. I hope they're reading through it. They're already thinking about it. Thank you very much.
I know you were at the last two election meetings. I was going to stand in the hall, but I don't think I knew who you were at the time.
Well, I bought that 6 years ago, but I didn't. First of all, there was television here, and I grew up with this one.
Hey, guess what they're doing in Hubbard? They're having a city council meeting about the data mining thing. Hey, told her there was no recording allowed in the city council meeting tonight. So now Hubbard's on the list. I'm already dealing with Coolidge, Hillsborough, Whitney now.
I'm sitting waiting for it.
The chief of police out there is the city
I'm not
council.
gonna pay for peace. And I ended up here with 2:30.
Is that when you can't see so far, you put the other set on, or the other set over the other
No, I
side?
had it on the holder, and when I got in here, I had it in my pocket.
She's nearsighted and farsighted. Oh wait, she's got a third pair for her reading glasses.
So you're busy, Watchdog?
Maybe. Who's asking?
I'm green-eyed blue.
You're what?
I thought you underground media.
You couldn't tell us.
I didn't see you. I was sitting on the couch. Did you get my
Story
video?
is
I sent them to you.
Did you send it to me?
we do a separate copy of the
I'll have to go back and look.
I grew up in Abilene, went to TCU.
What was it on again?
I went to Washington, D.C., thinking I'd be there a couple of years. Always interested in politics and elections. I already worked in the congressional debate. And then I went up there and met the girl. We bought a house and put the children in school up there. And so it was 30 years later, 2016, when I came back and went to Austin. I always wanted to live in Austin. Austin was unbearable. And I really, really loved Trinity in the mid-70s. You read about your history.
I glanced at it.
So, happy to be back in Texas. And, elderly retired American Airlines flight attendant passed away in the mid-90s. And as my brother, who's a retired firefighter now, said, we became 1,000air. So it was 1,000air.
That's what I told him too. He said,
Search for all the really big, really old houses anywhere in Texas. I got one down here.
I got.
You know which one's mine?
Coming up on that
So
big.
I was thrilled. I was thrilled to buy that house. And my joke has been that I would die there. People say, but it's going to take me 40 years to scrape the paint one time.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, of course. You know how to find me, okay?
I will drop by sometime.
Stay out there with the microphone.
Come out of executive session at 6:23. Oh. Moving on to line item 5, public comments and receipt of petitions. At this time, anyone will be allowed to speak on any matter other than personnel matters. Any matter not specifically listed for public hearing elsewhere on the agenda or matters under litigation for a length of time not to exceed 4 minutes. No council, board discussion or action may take place on a matter until such matter has been placed on the agenda and posted in accordance with law, Texas Government Code 551.042. We'll go into public comments at 6:24. Our first speaker is Donna Richardson.
Yes, please, on that mic, just push that red button up top. There you go. Pull it down. Very. Thank you.
Am I better?
Yeah.
My name is Donna Richardson, and I'm the granddaughter, daughter, wife, mom, niece, godmother, cousin, and aunt of a veteran. I have lived in the Whitney and Fuller area for almost 35 years. I would like to thank Madam Mayor, city council members in the audience, both present and on live stream, for allowing me to talk about my passion. Most of you in here probably know what that is. Which put simply is to honor our veterans and service personnel by being a voice and a helping hand. Let me give you some examples of why I do what I do and teach others to do the same thing, which is simply to fight. It took the VA 26 months to acknowledge that my oldest son was blown up by an RPG while in a convoy in Iraq during Iraqi freedom to deem him 100% disabled. Multiple skin grafts and surgeries, but he's alive. It took the VA 15 years to acknowledge that my husband's discoid lupus was a service-connected disease with no cure, even though he was diagnosed while still in service. And we have a letter from the DOD stating that it was caused by the exposure to chemicals while he was in Iraq during the Gulf War. And now he has awarded 100% disability. 100% disability does not mean that the vet cannot work. It simply means they have scored enough percentage points with their service-related issues to meet VA's criteria to add to that 100%, which is actually takes over 300 points. And that's a VA scale. Nobody knows the system. I have developed a group of veterans and their family members along with a few people in the local Hill County government. Together we are spreading the word throughout Hill County, beginning in Whitney, that there are a ton of resources out there for all of them. Not necessarily money, but ways they can help them financially. We call ourselves Veterans Center of Resources, aka VCR. Currently, we are just a group. Our hopes are to become a nonprofit. What we do is get questions and listen to concerns and get the correct information for individual case. VA is not always the answer and is by far the only answer. In just a few months, we have gathered over 24 resources that I have the ability to bill VA, so there's no charge to a vet or family member. I don't want to go into the list of that at the moment because it would absorb my time here. Periodically, we have public town hall meetings where when we can find space and availability. The last meeting was here sometime last month. I can't remember the date. We had 18 people present. 8 of those were VCR team members. 2 vets in that audience have been able to get the ball rolling on their VA claims. I cannot do claims, but I know who can. We offer transportation, funeral detail and holding of the flag, assistance with getting monthly bills paid, true homelessness, getting into the VA system, retrieving their medical records and medals, and so forth. We work with every local veterans organization and also use them as a resource. We have the same goals and the same mission, that's to help veterans. We are different in that in 2026, if not sooner, we will travel throughout Hill County in order to reach more veterans. The last census and records taken show us that there are right at 4,000 vets in Hill County alone. These are the ones that actually admit to being a vet on a legal document such as driver's license or voter registration or any other document that's asked.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next speaker is David Astor.
David Castor, Lincoln Trinity, North Trinity. I'm back to give a status of our TNMP project, which the council has heard and kind of ruled on, voted on. The road that TNMP said that they were going to rebuild, and like Mr. Hens pointed out, unless you fix the drainage, the road's gonna wash out. Well, the road hasn't been in place for 2 rains, and it's already washing out. The surface is washing out. Whoever signed, I don't think the city has signed off on the construction, although that same contractor worked for the city or did some work for the city as well. But it's not gonna hold up. I mean, like I said, the road is washing away. The surface is already washing away. Culverts have not been fixed first, so there's flooding issues. And the flooding issues that did not exist before, and I've been here for 10, 12-inch rains, and this is gonna cause a problem, not just for me, but my neighbors as well. So council did the right thing and said, fix the road. The road is not, it's drivable at the moment, but if you guys have been down it, it's a horrible, it's not good. You wouldn't approve it for your own driveway, is what I'm trying to say. But that was a commitment that they made, that they fixed the road and the culverts and that piece. They did deliver. But additionally, when the contractors left, they left all kinds of trash, I guess, assuming the city will pick up the concrete blocks and the bricks and the wood and the mess that they left behind. But they didn't clean it up. I guess they just assumed that the city would. The water meter that hasn't been hooked up in months is sunk in the mud. They reset it, but it hasn't been. I don't think if somebody came by to read that, the transponder is not connected. If someone comes by to read the meter manually, I don't think they can even get the door. So there's a number of issues. I've reached out, tried to meet with the mayor. I've left a voicemail every single day for a couple of weeks, and I can't, just to report a status, I wouldn't have to come up here. I've tried reaching out to the operations director also, just to give a status and get a status, because I mean, it's something that the city paid for. It's something that the city, I mean, it impacts the city for everything that they've done. Now you guys are gonna have to probably a year and a half, 2 years down the road, spend the money to fix the road because they didn't do it right, and they committed that they would. So anyway, me reaching out to the mayor and me reaching out to operations director was just to give a status, but also to get a status on when are they going to do what they said they were going to do and fix the culvert, fix the drainage, and do what they said they were going to do. Council voted, said this is what you're going to do, and operations director went back to them and said, hey, this is what the council said, this is what you're gonna do. And came back and said, well, they're gonna look at doing the route, and they're gonna fix the road, but the city's gonna fix it from here to there. This is y'all's business. I don't feel that the city should have paid for that since they tore it up, but at the end of the day, this road's not gonna last. It was a waste. So we've got to get those culverts fixed. We've got to get them back out here and fix the stuff that they tore up.
Thank you.
BZ Watchdog?
Let me know when my time starts. Alright guys, well as she said, I'm BZ Watchdog. You guys haven't had the pleasure of getting to know who I am just yet, but you guys are gonna get real intimate with me here shortly. I've been a thorn in Hillsborough side. If you've seen, I've been making a lot of changes in Hillsborough, well guess what? Whitney, you got me. You requested me. Mr. Pribble, Ms. Saunders, and everybody else that you've had issues with on social media. I've seen all your posts. Records requests. Oof. Ms. Christie, I think I slammed you this week with about 15 or so. You continue to do them, and if you're gonna go ahead and stonewall with Fort Messer, I've been battling them. They don't usually win against me. I've got my legal team behind me, so I don't know if your page goings or not, but good luck. I will get those records faster than you guys have been stonewalling Ken Scales and everybody else in this town. Don't fold your arms, don't be nervous, Jason. Mr. Pribble, don't know when you put those little reflector signs up, but council never agreed on it, never agreed to the change. Speed, I talked to the education board, they never agreed to the change for that. So, leads me back to good old Sam Hathaway, good old chief, who doesn't shake hands, by the way, because that body cam video you guys all saw, he don't like to shake hands to Mr. Larry Farmer. His officer decided to put him right in cuffs. An old man, disabled. Really? That's oppression. That's a crime. It's 3902, Texas Penal Code. And guess what? Your officers, trash. I think I know why Schultz left. Guess what? That's all I do is police and government accountability. I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube. I got a really big platform that's growing every day. So if you guys are gonna keep breaking the law, like your Texas Open Meetings Act violation you just did when you went to executive session, nobody voted on that. You can't make that decision. You're not the queen, you're the mayor. You answer to the people, the council. You still have to go towards the law. The law tells you what you can and can't do. He's supposed to enforce it. He is not supposed to listen to you, like throwing people out at the last meeting. You can't break the law. And when people break the law, that's when I get involved. I will investigate you. I'm gonna dig up all the dirt and all the stuff you guys have done, pointing to YouTube, because I know exactly what you guys are doing. I've already been looking into all of my records. And I'm gonna take it to the district attorney. If you don't wanna do anything, I'll take it to the attorney general and the inspector general. You guys can either leave office or do it right. You only got two choices. Or you'll leave out there in handcuffs. He might go with you. He might be, arrested for abuse of office and official oppression. So, with that being said, you guys have been put on notice. I will be at every city council meeting. You can't get rid of me. I don't care what you tell that man. Go ahead and violate my First Amendment or my Fourth Amendment right. I will sue you. I will sue you. Sink that, let that sink in. That ain't gonna affect the taxpayers. It's gonna affect the insurance. It's gonna cause that legal group to charge more money to the people of the city. So you can't get your roads fixed, whoever spoke on that. It's not gonna be able to get your roads fixed. Water, I guess that's already a mess. You guys aren't doing anything you're supposed to be doing. You're back over. And you know what you need? An enema. I'm in. I will clean you out. You guys will be gone. How much more time I got, Mayor?
38 seconds.
38, that's a lot. That's a lot more than Hillsborough likes to give me. But anyways, Christian Alex Tillman, former of Hill County Sheriff's Department. Oh, hell, I'll stop. Who writes up that man? Because he's not wearing a thing badge. That's a policy violation. How is anybody supposed to know who that officer is if he doesn't have a name badge on? I asked him to identify earlier. Attitude. Just ask him what his name was. That's what you guys treat people coming through Whitney? That's okay. I guess they don't like the people here. I don't know. You guys like your people here? Anyways, about 38 seconds up, I'm just killing time at this point because I want to get my full 4 minutes. I'll do it in silence. There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Elliot. I am a CPDT certified dog trainer, a behavior specialist, and a shelter consultant. I have lived in big cities, rural areas, and have worked in nonprofits and municipal shelters all around the country. The problem in this community with the stray animal crisis is one that affects public safety, neighborhood quality of life, and ultimately the city budget. Right now, we rely on reactive measures that address only the symptoms, not the cause, and it's done by your citizens, not by any sort of animal control officer. As you know, when a city delays solving a problem, the costs don't disappear, they multiply. Establishing a local animal shelter and animal control agency is not just about compassion for animals, it's a strategic investment in public safety and financial stability, especially long-term. Cities that implement a coordinated sheltering and animal control system see fewer dog bites, safer streets, and a faster response to the many public health risks that we're facing right now with our feral population. They also avoid the spiraling expenses that come from outsourcing emergency animal issues, legal liabilities, and unmanaged stray populations. Simply put, a structured system is less expensive and it's far more effective in a crisis-by-crisis situation. Perhaps most importantly, this is about public trust. Our residents see pets as family. When the city demonstrates the same respect for animal welfare, it strengthens a citizen's confidence in you guys that we invest in you and the things that you value. Families expect safe neighborhoods, humane solutions, modern, responsible city services, and we're not getting that right now. Right now, our community has the opportunity to show leadership, to align our city's values with the values that are already held by the people who live here, to create safer streets, protect taxpayers, their property, and build a system that reflects who we are and who we want to be. A local shelter and organized animal control department is the foundation that we need to responsibly address all the issues that are already at our doorstep. It's not a luxury product, it's an essential service. On behalf of local animal lovers, I'm asking you to prioritize this initiative and begin the steps towards establishing a sustainable, professional animal welfare system. Our community is ready for it. We have citizens already doing it on their own. And the long-term benefits for public safety, for fiscal responsibility, and for civic trust are undeniable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Denise and Laura?
Alright. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community attendees. My name is Denise Zamora, and I'm the founder of PosPlaceRescue.inc. My volunteers and I are here tonight to address the same issues I have been vocal about since opening in April. I'd like to start with this. Tonight's my first time with my volunteers are here, ready to speak. That alone shows how serious the situation has become. And even though I don't attend monthly in person, I'm watching these meetings on live feed, hoping something will change. Whitney still has no animal control, no enforcement, no plan, no functioning system for a daily animal welfare crisis. So yes, I'm here again. Here's some facts. In 6 months, we have taken over 60 animals. They came from everywhere, inside the city, outside the city, and all the way by the lake. Strays don't check jurisdiction, signs before wandering. We are doing a city job just without pay, support, or acknowledgement, while the city remains silent. We have growing volunteer support, increasing donations, and residents attending our monthly animal welfare meetings at the Whitney Public Library. People see the truth. They know who is actually doing the work. About 10 months ago, the city claimed online that it had a partner with the shelter. No name was given because no physical, real shelter existed. Not one with a true holding facility or one that answered calls as we do. I know this personally because Bola, whom I renamed Zoe, the dog I fostered and later adopted from the city, was being held there and scheduled to be put down. What no one disclosed was that she suffered from seizures. Even with her former foster, who I've spoken to personally, I was lied to, was told it was a reaction to her UTI. She died in my arms. My husband wanted to sue, and he had every reason to. Instead, he turned that pain into purpose. And that's how PosPlaceRescue was created. So if the city could publicly claim a partnership with only 2 kennels and a Facebook page, it should be no issue to acknowledge an actual rescue with an actual facility. PosPlaceRescue is here. We are not asking for funding. We know you're low budget. What we are asking for is public acknowledgement, promotion of our rescue, directing residents to donate, recognizing our monthly meetings, support that takes $0 and seconds of effort. We're not asking for miracles. We are asking for a practical support that reflects the work we're already doing for this community. The animal crisis in Whitney is real, growing, and unaddressed. But with your public support, we can continue responding safely and professionally. And by the way, there's a parvo breakout in Whitney. Thank you.
Angela Arbuckle. Woo! Good evening. First, I'd like to say thank you for your service and thank you for your time. My name is Angela, and my partner and I own the lodge on Trinity Cove in Whitney, Texas. And I'm here tonight because what we deal with on our property and what many others deal with across the town has become far more than a nuisance. It is a full-scale animal welfare crisis. And the people carrying the entire burden are private residents like myself with no support, no authority, and no recourse. At our lodge alone, we deal with a constant flow of dumped animals, especially cats. In 14 years, we have personally spayed and neutered hundreds. We've placed more than 20 cats and their litters, which is probably 40 more, into homes. Because if we don't step up, no one does. We've had dogs left locked inside trailers for weeks when renters walked away. We have no legal authority to intervene, even with animals suffering right in front of us. We don't suffer, the animals do. One of the dogs is Bandit, and the day we found him abandoned in a trailer was the day I became involved with Paul's Place Rescue. Bandit was covered in fleas, missing hair, and we were told he was beaten with a cane for fun. Bandit is now in foster care at Paul's Place Rescue, getting the help he should have had long before. Not because the city stepped in, but because private citizens and a private rescue did. And we didn't just take him in, we invested in him. We have personally spent $4,000 on Bandit's bedding, training, and kennel, donated labor hours to help build a winter shelter for the rescue, donated $5,000 towards fencing, electrical, and kennels, donated another $5,000 toward the rescue's general operations. That is over $14,000 out of our pockets in the last, since July. On my block alone, I live around the corner, we have more animals that live there than people because the situation, people are, private citizens are taking them in. We've taken in 15 stray animals, bedding and fixing them. There's about 18 more at our lodge right now that we feed with the raccoons and the foxes. We're doing everything we possibly can, but we cannot do the city's job forever. Whitney provides no support to residents who are actively trying to clean up this problem. We are tax-paying citizens trying to fix a citywide issue with absolutely no help from the city. So tonight I'm asking for something very simple. Support, acknowledgement, and action. Promote the crisis publicly. Promote the rescues and volunteers doing the work and stand with us, not against us. And I have one respectful but direct question for this board. Are you still affiliated with a private rescue shelter? And if so, who is it? Where's the facility? And why are they not the ones responding to the animals we are paying thousands to save? Animals do not know where the city limits begin and end. They roam around everywhere, and so do the problems of abandonment and overpopulation and cruelty. You have the voice to request action from the county and the sheriff. You have the authority to pursue animal control. You have the responsibility to address an issue that is only getting worse. We are doing our part, and we have proven that. And now we are just asking firmly and respectfully and directly, but please help us do this job. Thank you.
Madam Mayor and Council, I have been asked to read a letter from a citizen that could not attend the meeting tonight. It says, as I am out of town and will not be able to attend the city council meetings, I have asked this to be read in my absence. This is from Janine Coons, 101 West Belleville Avenue. Appreciation to all the citizens of Whitney, Madam Mayor, and City Council. How well the Halloween celebrations went. Kids were walking, smiling, laughing in their costumes. Neighbors were visiting with each other, relaxed, joyful atmosphere. Lots of people in downtown were enjoying themselves. There were over 250 trick-or-treaters in that division just across the street. I know, because I live there. Beautiful display at Ace. Lights, Christmas trees, very nicely done. Many stores and businesses have put up lights, lighting up our town in so many ways, very festive. The library, she wants to say appreciation for yoga, exercise class, ham, radio, meetings, chess club, stories, computers, in addition to the books and online resources they have provided. Gratitude for the nice-sized meeting room that they share with everybody in the community. The thrift store volunteers, thank you for the Methodist Church and the volunteers for all their efforts in thriving thrift store. Special thanks for providing vouchers for over 200 people with special needs. Also for providing medical aid devices to people in need that may not be able to afford these devices. Thank you for the garden club for the beautification of the library, memorial garden, and the garden boxes at the front of the police station. They are lovely and show the city as a friendly place to live. May everyone have a safe and happy holiday.
Moving, Venus.
Good afternoon, everybody. I was literally in bed already, not even gonna be here. But I just said, God, what am I gonna do there? Leave me. So I think through God, all things are possible. So I'm gonna lead you in some prayer. At the turn of the year, a force of Arabians came up against Josh. They invaded Judah and Jerusalem, did away with all the princes of the people, and sent all their spoil to the king of Damascus. Though the Arabian force came with few men, the Lord surrendered a very large force into their power, because Judah abandoned the Lord, the God of their fathers. So punishment was meted out to Josh. After the Arabians had departed from him, leaving him in grievous suffering, the servants conspired against him because of the murder of the son of Jehoiada the priest. They killed him on his sickbed. He was buried in the city of David, but not in the tombs of his king. These conspired against him: Zabad, son of Shemaiah, from Ammon, from Jehoshaphat, son of Harith, from Moab. Of his sons, the great tribute imposed on him, and of his rebuilding of the house of God. There is a written account in the Manaiahs of the book of the Kings. His son Amaziah succeeded him as king. 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother named Jehoiada, and was from Jerusalem. He did what was pleasing in the right of the Lord, though not wholeheartedly. After he had strengthened his hold of the kingdom, he slew those of his servants who had killed the king of his father. But he did not put their children to death, for he acted accordingly to what is written in the law, the book of Moses, and the Lord commanded, fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children for their fathers, but only for his own guilt shall a man be put to death. Amaziah mustered Judah and placed them out of Judah and Benjamin according to their ancestral houses, under leaders of thousands and hundreds. When he counted those 20 years over, he found them to be 300,000 picked men, fit for war, capable of handling lance and shield. He also hired 100,000 valiant warriors from Israel for hundreds of silver. But a man of God came to him and said, O king, let not the army of Israel go with you, for the Lord is not with Israel. With an Ephraimite, instead, go on your own, strongly prepared for the conflict. Otherwise the Lord will defeat you in the face of the enemy. It is God who has the power to reinforce or to defeat. Amaziah answered the man of God, but what is to be done about the 100 talents that I paid for troops of Israel? The man of God replied, "The Lord can give you much more than that." Amaziah then disbanded the troops that had come to him from Ephraim and sent them home. They, however, became furiously angry with Judah and returned home blazing with resentment. Amaziah now assumed command of his army. They proceeded to the valley of Salt, and they were killed, 10,000 men of Seir. The Jihadites also brought back another 10,000 alive, whom they led up to the summit of the rock and cast them down. So now that they were all crushed, meanwhile, the mercenaries whom Amaziah had dismissed from battle service with him raided the cities of Judah from Samaria. Thank you.
Emily Hughes.
Part of my entire, I was running low on time and decided that showing up and being on time was more important than being dressed business appropriate. Regarding agenda item number 5, my name is Emily Hughes. I have 2 children who attend Whitney ISD. My oldest daughter is a senior, top 2 or 3 in her class, slated for Baylor or A&M biological engineering program. And my son is a 7th grader with dreams of being the next Chris Kyle or Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military. I have no doubt in their ability to lead this nation if they choose. And that's just my kid. I'm not sure who else kids dreams of being a doctor, an astronaut, a lawyer, marine biologists, politicians, city leaders, just members at home raising kids. My children seldom use the intersection of 933 and County Road 1240 out by the high school around McDonald's. Newly named Wildcat Drive, but their friends and fellow Wildcats do. Every day I see community members complain on social media about traffic in the area, all the way down to Chicken Express and across to McDonald's. The confused kids that run across and jaywalk in frantic fear because vehicles are in a rush. Everybody's got somewhere to be. These kids don't know how to properly cross a street. Their parents are too busy working to teach them. Somebody has to put food on the table. The school has its hands full and are too busy to teach them to cross either. The Whitney police force might be able to, but they're busy catching drunk drivers and keeping drugs off of our streets. Thank you, men, for your service. And women, sorry, men and women, thank you for your service. None of our Whitney community members have taken the time to figure out why there isn't a push button timed crossing signal for those 50+ students to use to get to an after-school snack safely. But they just sit back and complain. I'm a stay-at-home mom and rather busy myself, but I thought, hey, I'll take the initiative to research where the holdup is and try to get the ball rolling faster on this project if it's possible. Whitney Student Council presented to the Whitney School Board and possibly a City Hall meeting, I can't remember, to bring light to the need for one. I spoke to several people with the city, including Mr. Billy Cribble, nice to meet you, who directed me to TxDOT in Hillsborough. 32 phone calls and 5 hours later, just a second. Oh, yeah. I was told by Josh Boyles, TxDOT area engineer with the Waco district, and Jacob Chow, he's above Josh Boyles, I believe, with TxDOT in Waco district, that construction will begin sometime after January 1st. Jacob Chow is a very difficult man to get a hold of. When I called his phone number, it clicked and never went to his voicemail. And it did that 3 times today, so I think word got around and he called me. told, with no more detail, that construction will begin sometime after January 1st,
Thank you, Emily.
sometime in the spring.
Emily, your time is up. Sorry, thank you. Elias Hughes. Part two.
Good evening. I'd like to continue off where my mother stopped. As my mother would have spoken, I am willing to step up and perform the duty of crossing guard before any of these intelligent, witty wildcat dreamers' brains end up spilled on our street in front of grocers, Chick-fil-A, Sonic, and McDonald's. While our non-teacher community sat back and watched it happen, could have prevented it, but did nothing. I am offering to give a formal presentation to the high school and middle school students on how to properly cross the street and perform the duty of crossing guard until construction is complete. If no one else is willing to do it. A paycheck would be nice, resume and references available on request. Thank you.
Hunter?
I'm gonna continue where my sister left off. Can I get all the Whitney ISD students to come up to the front? I don't want any of these kids scared by some reckless driver. And I don't want any of my friends to get killed. I don't want any of my friends to get killed by some reckless drivers, and also running across the street without any of the lights being red. And also, I think there should be crosswalk buttons on the intersection. I didn't know. I don't know the number.
Move on to our consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. Should a council member desire discussion of any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Line item 6, act on approving the regular city council meeting minutes for the regular meeting on October 19, 2025, and for the special meeting on October 21st, 2025. Line item 7, act on approving the city of Whitney expense reports and register report for October 2025.
Mayor, I'd like to pull both of them.
Okay.
I emailed Christie some corrections to the minutes for October. The October 16th meeting. Pretty much the last part of the minutes were from the September meeting. Our October meeting ended with the Lakelander contract. And we adjourned at 8:49. That was the only correction I had.
I would like to add some observations. if I may. I believe the date is October 16th rather than October 19th. I thought that might be a typo there. And then following down, when we're looking at the bottom line of the speaker, Kaylee Holiday, and she is making reference to the city council members sitting for the pledge of the American flag. And I want to clarify that I always stand during the American flag pledge and anytime the American flag is shown. So if we could correct that wording to reflect that that's not they inclusive of the entire city council.
Is there a motion to make some corrections?
I make a motion that we make corrections to the regular city council meeting minutes for the regular meeting, which was actually October 16th, 2025, and for the special meeting on October 21st, 2025.
Second.
And just before we take a vote, is the consent agenda item being October 19th going to be a legal issue for adopting these?
So what I would suggest is that we bring the October 16th minutes back, and in that way, for two reasons, just to be extra careful on the posting, but also so that council can see the corrections and make sure that's what y'all want to approve. But somebody could still make a motion to approve the special meeting for October 21st, 2025.
So moved on October 21st.
Second.
Amy,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Motion passes to approve the special meeting minutes from October 21st, 2025.
Line item 7, act on approving the city of Whitney expense reports and register report for October 2025.
On the register reports, or expenditures actually, we are still holding up our end of the contract for the library, right? But we still don't have the library's end of the contract on statements of financial health of the foundation. That was requested back in, I think, June. And we were told October, but we still haven't got it.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the city of Whitney's expense reports and register report for the October 2025.
For a second?
Now, second.
No.
Vicky,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
We have 3 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes to approve the expense reports in the October check register.
Moving on to the department reports, the mayor's report. While most kids are focused on costumes and candy this Halloween, 10-year-old Jackson Davis had a very different kind of excitement. Jackson was riding with his grandfather to meet his mom for trick-or-treating when his grandfather suddenly experienced the medical emergency while driving. Thinking quickly, Jackson called 911 and got his grandfather the help he needed. Within 3 minutes, Whitney Fire and Whitney EMS arrived on the scene and provided care. After ensuring Jackson's grandfather was in good hands, Whitney Fire personnel took a moment to commend Jackson for his bravery and calmness under pressure. It is an honor to present this life-saving award to Jackson Davis. Are you grandpa? the good ones here. Department of Emergency Services.
Honorable Mayor, council members, thank you for giving me this opportunity. October was a fairly busy month. We had a total of 165 calls with fire and EMS. On the EMS reports, we ran 60 calls, 54 was in the city, 6 were out in the county mutual aid with CareFly. The average response time in the city was 5 minutes. The average response time out in the county was 12 minutes. The ambulance did help us with 2 public relations events in October. On the fire side, we ran 105 calls. 3 fire calls were in the city. 23 fire calls were out in the county. We had 48 first responder calls assisting the ambulance in the city. 31 first responder calls assisting CareFlight out in the county. We also, in October, was public fire prevention. We did 3 public relations events, 2 with churches, and 1 was spent all day at the elementary school with the fire prevention program, public showing the trucks and all that.
Police Department and compliance report. Chief.
Mayor, council, so for October, we had 346 total incidents. We had 6 arrests, traffic stops, we had 161 with 198 citations / warnings. For animal control, we had 3 calls. We had a snake at the cafe, then a dog call and a cat call. And then we had 4 code enforcement violations.
Thank you. Report, Mr. Brennan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Last month we had 5 water main breaks were repaired, 4 sewer breaks that got repaired. After hours calls, we had 10 after hours water calls, 4 after hours sewer calls. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Library report. I think she's on vacation.
Yeah, Mayor, Christie's not here today, council, the information is in your packet and it's posted online. And I can't give an eloquent speech like Christie typically does, but, she's here in spirit.
Thank you. Municipal court.
For October of 2025, municipal court had a total of 42 citations with a collection of $5,384.17.
We move into our regular agenda. Line item 8, deliberate and act on final plat for Vapor Opportunity Properties LLC on approximately 57.56 acres of land legally described as tract 18A, abstract number A2 out of the James Burgess survey, and tract 4, abstract number A6 out of the Thomas McKee survey, Hill County, Texas, generally located west of State Highway 22 and west of FM 933.
Council, I'm gonna take you back in time just a little bit. If you recall, back around in April, we approved a development agreement for this project. This is the final plat for that subdivision project. Nothing's changed. There's actually, I'm sorry, there's one minor change to this plat from what was initially presented to the council. It has no impact on the city and its ability to provide the services that were delineated in that development agreement. So I would encourage the council to approve this final plat.
And just in case a lot of people haven't read the fine print, water service is supplied by the city for this one. Electric service will be supplied by Texas New Mexico Power. But the the individual on-site septic system facilities will be designed on an individual tract basis per TCEQ requirements and guidelines. The streets and drainage are private and shall be maintained by the HOA. The city of Whitney shall not be responsible for maintenance of private streets or drainage system. So we're doing water, but not septic. Or sewer, not sewer.
Councilmember Joe, that's correct. This, in the development agreement, it was negotiated, since the tracks are so large, to not tie into the city's sewer system. So they will have on-site sewage facilities, and they'll be permitted through the county as they need to be and inspected that way.
And they won't be charged for sewer.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve, this final plat for the Baker Opportunity Properties LLC on approximately 47.565 acres of land legally described as tract 18A, abstract number A-2 out of James Burgess Survey, and tract 4, abstract number A6 out of Thomas McKay Survey, York County, Texas. Generally located on State Highway 22, west of FM 933.
And
Motion,
I was gonna say, technically, we're now in discussion, but we had a motion in a second. And the other question I was gonna ask is, how much does it cost the city for something like this? To do the work of all this?
So one of the things that I did with this developer that has not been done before in the city is we actually created an agreement with the developer to where they had to put X amount of money in a bank account, to which any surveys or anything engineering on our side on behalf of the city, they had to pay. So the city is out $0 when it comes to this.
we have a motion by Vicki Wilson and a second by Jason Nance. Amy Keel?
Yes?
Vicki Wilson?
Yes.
Cheryl Taylor West? Yes. Jason Nance?
Yes.
4 yeses, motion passes.
9, deliberate and act on resolution R 2025-1101, granting a petition requesting annexation into the corporate limits of the city of Whitney, Texas by Baker Opportunity Properties LLC, owner of approximately 57.56 acres of land, legally described as tract 18A, abstract number A2 out of the James Burgess Survey. Have y'all heard this before? A6 out of the Thomas McKay Survey, Hill County, Texas, generally located west of State Highway 22 and west of FM 933, setting a public hearing for the annexation and authorizing the city secretary to cause notice of said hearing and authorizing staff to negotiate and enter into a written notice services agreement with the property owner.
Well, that was a mouthful.
It was.
Mayor, Council, if you recall, again, going back to that development agreement, one of the things that we negotiated with the developer was before the final plat could be recorded at the county, they had to petition the council for potential annexation into the city limits. So that's where we're at here. The developer and property owner do want to be annexed into the city. So this is the first step in that process, is to petition the council to find out, it kind of gets that ball rolling. There's a lot of things when it comes to annexation in the state that, you know, you kind of have to check off in order. We knocked a lot of that out in the development agreement. The services that we're going to provide and all that are already, you know, annotated in that development agreement. So we're ahead of the game on this. This is just the next step in that process.
And if anybody on council wants to make a motion, you don't have to read the whole.
I was gonna say, I'll make a motion that we approve item 9 on the regular agenda as stated previously.
I'm so sorry, I don't mean to be out of order here for point of order, but we do need to set a date for public hearing in this, and staff is recommending to council the 18th of December, I believe is it in there?
Yeah, I was gonna say the 18th is listed in section 3A, calling a public hearing, December 18th at 6 p.m. That is our next meeting, right?
Yes.
That is correct. I think if we could just articulate that in the motion, that way it's on the record.
In addition,
Just-
I
we
would
just need to
like
set a
to
public
add a public hearing that will be scheduled during our regular city council meeting on December 18th.
And just by way of discussion, this is a voluntary annexation, and I'm all about voluntary actions. I will be voting yes on this.
So noted. Vicky?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And Jason?
Yes.
4 yeses, motion passes.
On item 10, deliberate and act on a citizen's agenda request for the Omni website credit on water bills and the creation of a city utility board.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Jana Strange.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I've had a lot of issues with the water company, and even just getting my own water usage, I didn't know about the set flow website. I've been talking to neighbors, and none of them knew about it either, so I'm asking for it to be put on the bills. I think that's pretty logical. And I'm also wondering why we can't have our water usage past 6 months. I have a letter from his report saying the data is never deleted, but as stated, it is an online forum run by Phoenix Omnia that the city has no control over.
Chris, do you have any input on that? Weren't you in communications with Omnia and Phoenix as to what the issue was there?
Yes, they said they can't go back past 6 months. It has to do with their programming, though, it takes a little bit of digging. But they can't go back past 6 months, is what I've been told, so.
Ms. Strange, I'll find out more about that.
Okay, I just wanna let you all know that SetFlow only works on a computer. So when you get the information out, you might wanna tell people that. A lot of people try from their phone and it's not an interactive website at that point. There's also no tech support. If you try to get a hold of anybody there, they will not respond. So.
So, we don't have this on the water bills, the set flow stuff?
The water usage is on there, if that's what you're
No,
referring to, but the,
The set
no,
flow
no, no,
link?
not, okay, so not hour by hour, not like you can see on SetFlow, but the start and end read, I believe, is on there.
But is there direction about set flow on the water bills?
No.
Do we need to move an action tonight with that on them?
So I've already been in contact with the utility billing clerk. She's actually trying to get with Edmonds, who controls what's printed on there, to find out what's necessary, how many characters we have, and maybe even be able to put in instructions on this is what this is for. We do have forms when you sign up for accounts with the information on there, but due to employee turnover, this new utility billing secretary was not necessarily familiar with that, but they've recently gone through some more, it used to be called SetFlow, now it's Omni or Phoenix, but now they're more familiar with the program. So I actually had both all the office staff and Public Works go back through that training, so they were familiar with it.
And Ms. Strange, you've got the creation of a city utilities board as a discussion item.
Because of this, yes. I don't want this to happen to anybody else, because we had a leak for 3 months and no idea. So I just wanna make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else. And that was important. And I have, a printout for everybody. This is just what other proposed utility boards have, their powers and duties, to just kind of give you an idea of what that looks like.
Go ahead, bring those up. Do we know anything about the utilities board? experience?
I have no experience in utility work from our side.
Do you guys have any input on the utilities board?
Madam Mayor, Council, may I ask a few questions?
Yes.
Ms. Strange, where did this come from? I guess what I'm asking is, where did you compile these responsibilities from? I'm just curious, because I was trying to figure out kind of where, like, municipalities of our size and utility boards, and
Right.
I didn't really come up with a whole lot, so I'm just, really for information purposes,
These are
how
a
is this structured?
combination of, bigger towns, so I know, we're smaller, but this is just what their boards do, to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like.
Some of those bigger towns would be.
San Antonio, Austin, Georgetown.
Thank you.
So I guess this would just be something to put on maybe the next agenda for research and stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On item 11, deliberate and act on citizens' agenda request to abandon the alley on 405 South Colorado to allow the homeowner to sell the property. We have Eva Baker.
Madam Mayor, City Council, my house was built in 1945, and part of the house was built in the alleyway. We found this out when I got the survey done. The alley has not been accessed, I know, since 2016 when I bought it. But I can't sell it because part of it is in the alley. So I'm asking the city to abandon the alley, even though it's not accessible. And there's fences right up to my house, just so I can sell it.
So, Mayor, Council, if I may, one of the challenges we're gonna have with this property is because there is a sewer line in the back of that alley. The alley has not been functioning as an alley. Ms. Baker is not wrong when she says that. It looks like it's a very old sewer line because it's still vitro clay, but it does in fact exist because when the two homes to the south were recently built, I was the one doing the sewer taps back there, so I can confirm with 100% certainty there is a sewer line back there. That's gonna be a challenge. You can't, council may have more input on that, but I think the way the house looks is maybe that it was built onto, I'm not real sure how it wound up getting into that alleyway, because again, the alley has not been used as an ingress egress alley, but it definitely is a utility easement, and it's platted that way. So, Counselor, do you have any input in this subject?
So certainly with a sewer line in there, I would advise the city not to abandon alley. I've seen in other cities, if the homeowner wants to pay to move the sewer line and buy the easement, then maybe that's a consideration. Buy the easement the new sewer line is gonna be in, that's a consideration, assuming that other homeowners on the alley consent to the abandonment. But certainly you would not want to abandon any easement or alley with a sewer line in it.
What's the city liability if we did abandon the alley?
Well, let me say it to you this way, which is, I'm trying to say it, you would not want a house over a sewer line. It can create all kinds of liability issues, including, let me just end there. It can create all kinds of liability issues.
to a future agenda?
I don't think so.
Is the house over the line right now, or is it out in the open?
The kitchen is over, I
The
guess.
sewer line?
Correct.
Because the only other thing that I would question is if we got an easement for it, if we did abandon it, but we still have an easement for it, but she's got a building that's over.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right, I mean,
Because in the past, I used to have some property, you have easements on your property. In other words, the city is an easement.
Right. Well, so it's not unusual for there to be electrical line easements or something through a backyard. It is very unusual and should not happen, because most easements say that you cannot build over the easement. It would be very unusual for there to be any structure built over a sewer easement for the very reason that for one thing, it obstructs the city's ability to repair the sewer line in some cases, and so that would be very unusual. I myself have a utility easement in my backyard, but it's for electrical lines and not for anything that's underneath the house.
No, that's what I was trying to clarify. If the house was already over the actual sewer line, we have an issue.
yeah.
But I mean, if it wasn't, then got a little bit of
Right, oh,
give there.
Sure.
So I think, whenever we actually did install those 2 sewer taps for those 2 new houses, we had to remove fences that were built into the alley in that area, behind those homes. So, because like much of the old town, people kind of just built, and obviously this is an old home that has been built onto, and we don't know exactly when that sewer line was put in the ground. As I mentioned, it's old because it's clay. So I think what happened, kind of back then is people didn't really recognize it as an alley, and then that's how we got to where we are. A gentleman did come in to City Hall. I think maybe he's trying to look at buying the property, and I remember him asking, or making the statement that typically in larger municipalities like Fort Worth, they would make him tear that house down, or at least the part that's in the alley. We're obviously trying to figure out what the best solution here is. And I don't know where you go from here, Counselor. I'm gonna rely heavily on you guys for this.
Do we know how much it would cost if we were to say, you're gonna have to pay to move the line?
So you're saying that, because the counselor said that she could pay to have the sewer, the septic moved. Okay. And
First thing we would have to do to see if it's even a feasible option, because it's gravity fed. So we would have to see how that's gonna work. You're talking about changing not just that one home, but everybody else that's along that line, changing their sewer taps. So it would be an undertaking. You're talking about essentially taking half to a full city block and rerouting, and hoping that there's no water main, because the TCQ has a regulation that they have to be X amount of feet apart. So without knowing those details on exactly how it would look, we would have to see, because being gravity fed, you have to be able to maintain 2 feet per second flow, right? So we would really have to see if the topography would allow for that to be moved. And then if I'm gonna ballpark, right, and I'm gonna totally throw this at the wall and see if it sticks, you're looking probably at $100,000.
How much of the house is over?
Not very much, 5 feet. I mean, I've got the survey on my phone.
Do you have any preference on whether you would want to pay to reroute a sewer line, or try to, I wouldn't say demolish the home, but remodel the kitchen? I mean, I'm a big property rights chick, so I want to try to figure out the best way to protect your property rights as possible. But
I don't live in the house right now. All I'm trying to do is get rid of it.
Right, so that comes back to what kind of action would you want the city to pursue, looking into what it would cost to reroute everything? Or did you want to try doing a remodel of your property or some other creative?
Well, I don't want to put any more money into the house
Ms. Baker, would you mind emailing me that survey so I can try to maybe see exactly where it lands, with our alley? And
Sure.
And that way, I mean, we can look at, and maybe we can bring, I mean, it's gonna cost, it'll be another month before we can bring it back to council, but at least that lets me know the actual survey of the property versus how much is into that alleyway.
Sure, no problem.
If that's okay with the council and the mayor, I think that's the next appropriate step.
We'll do that. So it's table it to next, next month. Number 12, deliberate and act on appointing a board member to the Whitney Housing Authority.
I've got a call point of order on this. This was never publicly noticed. And I'm gonna ask that this be tabled to the December meeting and that this opening be posted to the website and the city Facebook page so people actually know that there has been an opening.
I'd like to visit on it a little bit, guys. Just in the past, when we had this, I guess I'm confused. This is a recommendation. In the past, what they did is they brought recommendations to us to approve. They go through the process of making, I mean, in the past, they went through the process of taking the applications and all that, and then the city makes approval of who they selected. So I don't see where the city is. In the past, we did not post this as a job of the city.
Well, it's not about being posted as a job of the city, but if the council is the one who has to approve these things, that puts the council in a very specific legal situation to make sure that not only all residents have had a chance to see this.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but what I'm trying to say is in the past, the Whitney Housing Authority Board handled that. So that's something that they should have done if they did not do it. I don't know.
Well, in the packet, we see that they submitted a letter October 14th to mayor and city council. I never got that. I never got this. If you do a search for Whitney Housing Authority, board member, there's nothing. There's nothing that notifies anybody that this position was ever even available.
Councilmember Chill, I just want to say, that was not brought to City Hall until November 5th, just as a point of record.
Thank you. But even then, I didn't get this after November 5th.
So, if I'm Mayor, Councilman, if I may, I'm not trying to talk out of turn here.
Yeah.
We did this based off of historical, how the council has done every time before. This one actually is, and I think this speaks to Councilmember Ennis' point, is typically, you don't have multiple applicants in front of you to choose, because typically that's handled by the housing authority. I will say that the state law says that the presiding officer of the governing body is the appointing authority. We have always allowed the council to do that. There's nothing in writing that says that, but it's the appropriate thing to do in government, is to let the elected members have a voice and who gets elected instead of just one person. So that's what we were trying to do here again. And I think this is the first step in that process of being a little bit more open, with having more than one candidate put in front of the council. I'm happy to do whatever the council sees fit in this situation. As I said, it's my job just to keep the boat going in the direction you tell me.
I'm gonna ask that we table this. If the council if the council is going to vote on this, we need to make sure it's an open process. Because we get a lot of the political punchline of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'd really like to avoid that moving forward.
Mayor or Christie, may I ask, have either one of you spoken with Ms. Stacy Waits to find out how critical it is for the board to have this position filled, or has she said anything about that?
Is she here? I think she's here. Stacy, will you come up?
In years past, when we have an opening, we let the city know that we need the position filled. If someone comes to me, someone comes into my office and gives me a letter, I pass that along to you. I don't vet our members. The only time I kind of select or guide is for our resident members, because they have to be in good standing with rent paid, not been having police violations and things like that. Any letters I've passed along, I've just passed along. I don't vet them, I don't know, hadn't known these people prior to. We just pass it along to y'all to.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, and I do have a question,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
I'm still new to the Whitney Housing Authority stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
So would you have a problem if we just tabled this to December and posted this and let people take a look at it?
If that's what y'all would like to do, I mean, I'm just bringing
So
to
it wouldn't be
y'all
a
that we
hardship
need.
for you?
Mhm.
No, okay. And just by way of letting people know what the Housing Authority does, what kind of budget do you guys work with?
I'd have to have one in front of you to give you our numbers. We get rent from tenants, we collect low income rent, so we don't receive a lot of rent. Some of our families pay very little, some of them pay back a lot rent. So our budget changes even monthly by families who lost jobs, receive jobs. What we receive one month and what we receive the next varies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I'd like to table this to December and ask that this letter be posted to the city's Facebook page and website.
So noted.
Okay, line item 13, deliberate and act on resolution R 2025-1102, adopting procurement policies and procedures to include the federally required provision 2 CFR 200.317, 2 CFR 200.327, and appendix 2 to part 200, which is federal guidelines regarding procurement actions to be taken when applying for federal funds.
Council, this is a process that we're going through with GrantWorks to get that GLO grant, so we can go planning and capacity study and planning grant. One of the things that we had to do in order to do that was establish these policies and procedures. This has been redlined and vetted by council and moved up, and GrantWorks accepted the changes that legal made to it. I would recommend moving forward with this so we can get that planning grant in, because we desperately need it.
Did we ever?
So I make a motion that we, approve and act on resolution, let's say this resolution on, agenda item number 13.
Is there a second?
So second.
Amy,
Abstain.
Vicky,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
3 yeses, 1 abstain, motion passes.
Can I make a request for a quick recess?
At 7:42, we'll take a recess.
You're back in a break, guys.
I'm gone.
What's happening?
No, ran.
Of course. You know how that works. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Hold a second here. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna just go in a sec.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Hi, how are you? 5-4, trouble. Mama's mama. But for the most part, it's accurate right now, there is. But, no cashier, no water anymore. So everybody knows they're going to check there because that's core property. There's your job. So my kid who's in jail, he's scared that they're gonna come get me. I'm looking at him, dude, you don't know who's down here. Why are you there? I'm waiting, but they're straight. They are. Do you happen to know where the agendas are? I mean, very mysterious.
So that was at the beginning, correct?
I know we don't do text dot, but I was curious.
When I'm on, y'all are closed.
How are you?
I know it's six, because
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
I haven't done much research.
You have your, right on your mom's number, and you can text that to her. Yeah, yeah.
You know where I live. I had to walk from my house and get out there to go out. Otherwise you go down the alley, you can't cross out, you can't cross out by the bank parking lot. So I go every time. Oh, it is bad. Bad, yeah. Oh, you never get ran over if you didn't even look both ways.
You can take
Facebook. We end our break at 7:49. And we move to line 14. Deliberate and act on ordinance 02025 1101, amending section 1.09.042 of Division 3 Park Advisory Board in Article 9, Parks and Other Public Places of Chapter 2, General Provisions in the Code of Ordinances, City of Whitney, Texas, addressing residency of park board members.
Madam Mayor, Council, this is basically the changes that we made in the last meeting to open up the residency restrictions, and open it up to people outside of the city limit, into the county itself. What I would recommend, this isn't, in here, but I would recommend if the council accepts these changes, that we go ahead and open it up again and post that this is open to hopefully garner some more applications for you guys to review.
I am absolutely okay with this. I actually, when I was talking with some people, they suggested just expanding it by 2, to have 5 city residents and 2 outside. That way, even though it's an advisory board, they're still dealing with city property. So you have city residents that are still basically the majority of what's going on, and that gives us more people on the board, because the Parks Board is basically gonna be a fundraising mechanism. We don't have the money to fix up the Cato building right now. We don't have the money to get the Poppy Park going yet. And there's a lot of stuff going on with the youth league. I know they want more money being put into there from the city, but we gotta get that money. And we've got enough projects and ideas going on, and like I said, we've already got 9 residents that volunteered, so I think we can easily fill a 5-member board. And I would expand it and just add 5 city residents and 2 outside.
Councilmember Till, I think that's a good point. One of the things is just speaking from experience. When it comes to appointing members, we have a lot of willing folks now.
Yes.
And we are super excited about that. By painting us into that corner with an ordinance, though, that means we're always gonna have to fulfill 7, 9, whatever that number might be. 5 seems to be a reasonable number, and to say you have to have 3 from the city and 2 from outside, that also narrows that corner down even more.
I know.
So I would just, those would be my words of caution to the council, is it's always been difficult for us as a city to get people to volunteer for these boards. And I think the wider that paintbrush that we paint with, the more we have, if that makes sense.
And one other item, the larger volunteer boards are, sometimes the harder it is to get a quorum to show up. But that's just one comment that I've seen.
So, what does our quorum look like for this, though? It's as an advisory board.
So you still would need 3 members to show up in order for a meeting to take place.
That's good. Out of 5.
Out of 5, yes, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7.
4 out of 7, and it's one more, but you'd be surprised how, even that one more, sometimes we can call people saying, are you showing up?
I have a comment in regards to the time that we originally set this open up to the public, and to today, and probably going forward, I guess another month possibly before we make decisions. And it is true. We have had not as much participation as we would like in the past. And I don't want to start it with a lot of heavy restrictions, I think later on, if we find that a lot of folks are involved and want to participate, then in the future, we could reconsider expanding the board. But for me personally, I'd like to see it stay at what it is right now.
Mayor and council, if I may again, I just want to go ahead and again publicly thank all of those that did sign up. And, you know, it's been, you know, we're going on now. Government doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. But, you know, I don't want them to get discouraged that we're asking to go out again for another 30 days or 14 days, whatever the council so desires, to open it up to the outside the city limit candidates. But I don't want them to get discouraged, and hope that they maintain their willingness to participate on these boards and be candidates to be selected by the council.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Is this the kind of thing that on B, down here on the first page, we can adjust, you know, from October to December or January or whatever it ends up being? And then just have this adopting of this ordinance as it's written, and then publicized, and then select on the 18th.
So, Councilman Teal, I did think about that when revising this. My thought is that, and this is completely up to y'all, I can totally change it, but usually boards are usually appointed in October, and so this time, you know, it would just be a situation where they're appointed a little bit late, and then y'all would get on that normal October. So that was my thought, but I did debate that.
I think we'll have to ask again if the same candidates are interested, because life happens and things change, and what I might have said I could do in September may not be true what I can do in December. Just putting that out there.
Councilmember Taylor West, we will, as a city, be reaching back out to those candidates when the time comes to appoint, to ensure they are still willing to serve in this capacity. And when that time comes, we will present you guys, the candidate pool, I guess, in a short way of saying it. If I were to make a recommendation, I think, what Councilwoman, Taylor West was kind of alluding to is maybe we adopt this ordinance as is now and get the board rolling. Let's not prolong it any further. And then as those board members, the advisory board advises the council that more changes need to be necessary, we look at it then. You know, again, we're going on month 2, we're looking at the 3rd month before we can do any definitive action. And, you know, there's always that mantra that they're just not doing anything, and I don't want that to continue.
I'm just psyched it's even up.
So I make a motion that we go ahead and, act on this ordinance as it is written now, and, verify that the people that had given us, they're wanting to do it, and then vote on that next month.
I second it.
Will you resupply the paperwork again for us to look at in terms of who all was interested at one point in time?
We have a motion from Vicki Wilson and a second from Jason Ince to accept it as written. Amy Teal?
Yes.
Vicki Wilson?
Yes.
Cheryl Taylor West?
Yes.
Jason Ince?
Yes.
4 yeses, motion passes.
Item 15, deliberate act on ordinance 02025-1102-02, amending chapter 9 personnel by amending article 9.06 to establish the office of city administrator, providing a cumulative replacer clause, providing for severability, providing enrollment and engrossment, and providing for public and an effective date.
Mayor, council, so as we talked about previously in executive session, we needed to rename, in my opinion, this position to what it is, and that's the city administrator of this city. It'll strengthen your candidate pool when the time comes, and I believe that, again, that this job title, and it is just a title, but it is excruciatingly frustrating when you go to other municipalities and you tell them what your job is, and they're like, just, it's city administrator, just different title. So, this is the ordinance to replace the operations director and call it a city administrator.
And just to clarify, this was in previous years called in the city administrator, so this is just changing it back.
Yeah, right.
And it's basically just icing, it doesn't change any legal issues or statutes or responsibilities.
Literally a title change.
No job duties, none of the job description then has been altered in any way?
We will look at the job description in the next, agenda item.
Okay. Strictly title then. Well, in that case, then I make a motion that we, approve the alterations or amendments in, the terminology for the office of city administrator.
Second. We have a motion from Cheryl Taylor West and a second from Vicki Wilson to approve the title change from operations director to city administrator. Any discussion?
Sure.
Well, and just to be clear, I just want to be clear that the motion, so you are moving to approve the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Vicki Wilson?
Yes.
Cheryl Taylor West?
Yes.
Jason Ince?
Yes.
4 yeses, motion passes.
Line item 16, deliberate and act on approving the modified job description for city administrator.
Mayor and council, in your packet, you have the job description for the city administrator, and if you look, the one change is at the very top where it has operations director lined through and city administrator next to it.
Well, just to be fully transparent, there's a second change because there was an and missing.
There's a lot of-
So on the third bullet, it just said mayor, city council without an and, so I added an and. So Billy wasn't being completely accurate.
My bad.
And just out of curiosity, can you explain what FLSA means, where it says exempt?
Fair Labor Standards Act, I'm sorry, Counselor.
Get our attorney down there.
It's the federal law that, salary versus hourly employees, and amongst a whole lot more with that Fair Labor Standards Act, but Fair Labor Standards Act or FLSA exempt means salary employee.
I completely understand, I was also salaried. Shall we make a motion?
We shall.
All right, approve the modified job description for city administrator, make a motion and approve item 16.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion from Cheryl Taylor West and a second from Jason Ince to approve the modified job description for city administrator. Amy Teal?
Sure.
Vicki Wilson?
Yes.
Cheryl Taylor West? Yes. Jason Ince?
Yes.
4 yeses, motion passes.
Line item 17, discuss update on the wastewater treatment plant TCEQ violation from earlier this year.
A lot of weird discussion out there online. Would love to hear an update for the public. That way we've got it from the horse's mouth, what's been done. Is it working? What's coming through the pipeline next?
Just, so we're addressing the concerns. Could you please establish what those concerns were, online, so we can in fact address them?
So, one of the concerns was, number one, what even is the SCP? And then, somebody else was saying that, well, this explains the smell over by the dam, and I said, no, it does not. So if you could explain a little bit about how that lake works for the public. If we could start with, with the SCP, or I guess I should say, what really was the violation? It's not like we were spewing completely untreated sewage into the lake.
No, that's correct. So the violation was, and so there are certain parameters. You're issued a permit for your wastewater plant. In that permit, It says what you are permitted to discharge into waterways and whatever. So our violation, I believe, was because our TSS was too high. TSS stands for Total Suspended Solids. TSS can be anything. That does not mean it's sewage, because we have very large pond systems out there. It can be algae, it can be anything. So just a brief explanation of how they determine TSS is they take a jar of water of discharge and they bake it, and they evaporate the water into whatever's left over. That's total suspended solids. Then they weigh it. That's how they determine how much TSS is in your discharge. It could be anything, and because we have a huge open air system, if it's a dirty, dusty, windy day and they happen to sample that day, guess what gets baked? So not necessarily is it raw sewage, it's the exact opposite. It's whatever happens to be in that water when it gets baked. So that was kind of what that is. A lot of people think it's just we're pumping raw sewage. No. We were outside of our parameters of our permit. So that's why we received the notice of violation and subsequent fine. I will go back to the previous discussion I think we had in June, to where I will say that plant has never operated inside of its parameters of permit. We've always had an exception and or have been on a plan with the TCEQ to try and get it into compliance. It's never operated correctly since 1992. So, with that being, does that address that question? All right, second question. There's absolutely no chance that by that violation, that the smell at the dam is what that is. If you've lived here long enough to know that the dam turns over, the lake turns over when the temperature starts changing, because it's called stratification. So hotter and cooler water want to flip, and that's what brings all the smell to the surface. There's a saying, and it's not the right saying, but I'm just going to put it out there. The secret to pollution is dilution, okay? There is no way what we're discharging here is causing that smell at that dam and that amount of water. No chance. So that should squash that. There's zero chance that's a fact.
The Clean Water Act makes sure that we do not dispose of raw sewage in our water supply. Please, if anybody believes that, that would be a serious mistake.
So third question, what is an SCP? It's a special environmental project or plan that when you do get into these situations, the TCEQ allows you to say, what are you going to do to correct it? And because the city has spent so much money trying to get that plant into compliance, they're going to accept that as portion. Now, okay, let me say, that's what we've applied for in our SCP, to say we've done these things and it's still not, working. They kind of want to know what you're going to do to fix it. So that's part of the SCP process. Chris applied with the SCP. Again, one of the things I want to reiterate is we met with a subject matter expert when this first came down to find out what we can do, right? Can we do an SCP? What's going to happen? That gentleman basically said, you can do an SCP, but you're going to pay the fine either way, okay? That wasn't necessarily completely true, because when we are already in the process of filing that SCP, Chris was already working with the TCEQ. When we paid that fine, the person that was on our case contacted Chris and said, whoa, I thought you guys wanted to do an SCP, which we do, and we are. Then they said that we may be able to get that money back. Well, that case person is no longer on the case. Chris has been in communication with the new case. Basically, it's state government, and you think bureaucracies around here at the city and county level, wait till you get to the state level. So Chris has some email communications with the current person, and he might be able to give us a better idea of what that looks like.
Well, I emailed them shortly after our last council meeting. I was on the 15th. It took them until the 22nd to reply, but our case has been reassigned. And from their exact words, it looks like the SCP is still being developed with the SCP program, but I will reach out to them and see if they have an update on the timeline. Additionally, I'll reach out to the financial administration to let them know about any reimbursements for paid penalties. Reimbursements tend to be issued after the order becomes effective and is approved by the commissioners during the agenda.
That's the last I have heard so far.
So we're just still waiting to get our $18,000 back.
They're still working on their SCPQ, so they may or may not still approve that, so we may have to pay, we may not yet. It's up in the air until they can take it for their board.
I would like to say that, we've been trying to get, if you recall, when we had to give an update, we were waiting because the TCQ had given us a more stringent permit. So we were just trying to find out if there was gonna have to be some re-engineering on the plant we had designed and approved. It looks like they're gonna be able to make those adjustments. Today at 4:30, I think it was 4:37 to be exact, I got the quote for the new plant. And it used to be $2,500,000. Now it's $3,200,000. So we're going to have to very soon, as a council and governing body, figure out how we're gonna pay for that.
Need to get those donations going.
So the longer it goes, the higher it goes. So, this isn't anything that we could have prevented. Again, they had to do the reevaluation based off of new permitting, getting with the manufacturer. This is where it's at. So just to give you an idea, the plan was at the $2,500,000, we were going to put $1 million down out of reserves, and our monthly payment would have been about $17,200. That's monthly payment. So with it being that high now, I don't know what that's going to look like, but we need to establish and look at that very soon so we can get that process going.
And those are principal, not total.
That's correct.
May I add one short comment? And this is to our students. A lot of times in public education, you don't learn a lot about water and sewer. Maybe you know about parks and city parks and all these other kind of issues, police and fire. You don't hear a lot about water and sewer, but it's something all of us use every single day. I heard some of you talking about careers a while ago. Engineering is an excellent, this is not something that's gonna go away. This is gonna be your generation and all future generations. So please understand why we all take this issue so seriously. Thank you.
On item 18, deliberate and act on ordinance 02-025-1103, approving the budget amendment in the amount of $119,880.
Okay, well, I have to tell you guys, I don't know how this happened, because it got by every one of us. But
Every one of us.
in the budget meetings, when we were finalizing the totals, for the repairs and maintenance in water, it should have been $120,000, and it was $120. So, we need some money to fix some water and sewer stuff, and, yeah, $120 ain't gonna get it done. And again, this was in the budget and every one of us missed it, so, there's no one person to look at this and say, this is your fault, but, it's not good. We will be pulling the money out of reserves to cover that, but it's a necessity and we're gonna have to do it.
And if we pull this out of reserves, what does that leave our reserves at?
99 cents. I'm kidding, it's not either.
Councilmember Teal, I don't have those numbers in front of me right now, but I'm going to guess, like, with this coming out, like 2.2? Does that sound right? About 2.2 million.
Can I make a comment? Once again, to students and all of us, my parents always told me to have money for emergencies. And this is an example of a situation. Our budget year started October 1st, is that correct? And we're only looking at, what, 6 weeks later, and we already have an emergency. So this is a great life example as well as a city budget example of what has to be done.
And kids, just FYI, adults, all the adults miss this. So don't be afraid next time around when you see the boring city council budget workshops. Get your eyeballs on there, see if you catch anything. You never know.
Absolutely. When you look at numbers, as much as we were looking at numbers, it's.
They all look the same.
I make a motion that we approve the $119,880, the amendment for this.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We got a motion from Vicki Wilson and a second from Cheryl Taylor West to approve the budget amendment for $119,880. Amy Teal,
Abstain.
Vicki Wilson,
Yes.
Cheryl Taylor West,
Yes.
Jason Hance,
Yes.
3 yeses, 1 abstain, motion passes.
On item 23. Nobody wants to.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Sorry. Yes. Second, third, fourth, let's do it.
We're adjourned at 8:15 p.m.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
I was excited about mine. Now I'm like, you do know. A good one.
And I took the original.
Did you say something?
How are you guys?
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Meeting's finally over. Drop your comments down below.
Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Tell us what you want, what you really, really want. Okay. Bye, guys.